Hey there, friends, and welcome to episode 347 of Just the Zoo of Us. This week, I'm joined by a very special guest, marine biologist, for a review of the world's wettest weasels, sea otters. We discuss beluga whales' fake six-packs, the unique challenges of caring for animals who so desperately crave chaos and destruction, dolphin MLMs, how adorable animals could save the world, and so much more. Just the Zoo of Us presents Sea Otters with Kristyn Plancarte. Hi there, everybody. It's Ellen Weatherford with Just the Zoo of Us, your favorite animal review podcast, and I am thrilled and overjoyed to have a brand new friend for us to talk to this week. This is Kristyn Plancarte. Say hi, Kristyn.
Hello.
You may have seen Kristyn's face or heard Kristyn's voice on social media, where you posted. How do you pronounce it? Is it K Passionate?
Yeah, K Passionate.
Yeah, you put a lot of really, really informative and fun science content out there that is informed by your career alongside some really incredible and fascinating animals. Kristyn, how did you land this sort of dream career with animals and wildlife?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, accidentally in some ways, and then also very intentionally in some other ways. But I really grew up loving animals, and from a very early age, I knew that I wanted to work with them. And, you know, adults will be like, oh, you want to be a veterinarian? And I definitely knew I did not want to be that. I wanted to have personal relationships with the animals that I work with. And I actually wanted to work with tigers and lions. That was the dream.
I feel like those are the ones that get you through the door.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely like iconic, and I think that it's pretty like, you know, cliche, big cats, like everybody wants to work with big cats, and I think this is important. I didn't pigeonhole myself into that niche, and I applied for any and every internship under the sun, and I got a few offers, but one of them was for working with belugas and sea otters in Vancouver, British Columbia. And I just thought that was the craziest, coolest idea I'd ever heard of. And I'd never considered marine mammals before, but I went up there and did an internship, and that's kind of like the rest is history. And now all I do is marine mammals. So
how serendipitous for them to be like, hey, have you ever considered maybe working with the cutest animals of all time? Have you ever thought about maybe like the cutest animals that have ever existed?
And you know what? I didn't even think about sea otters at all. Like, I never spared a thought for sea otters, not one time until I started working with them. And now they've become a huge part of my life, to the point where I got ferrets. I have had ferrets ever since for like over a decade, because that's kind of like the closest thing you can have to a sea otter in your house, which is a bad idea in retrospect. But yeah, I mean, sea otters have become such a massive part of my life. I would have never predicted that.
I feel like sea otters had a big moment a few years ago. You know what I mean? I feel like every year, every couple of years, there's a new like animal of the day, sort of, where like they're on everything. There would be like all the merch, all the designs, all the jewelry, everything has this animal on it. I feel like sea otters had their time in the sun. Was this prior to sea otter popularity?
Yeah, so I think that, not to like toot my own horn, I was certainly not the instigator of it, but I definitely think I was part of the sea otter renaissance. And I think it sort of started during COVID. We, in Vancouver, we had rescued this otter named Joey. And because people couldn't go to zoos and aquariums at that time, we live streamed his rehabilitation and 24/7. And so bottle feeds and
not the Truman Show for otters.
Literally. And it exploded. And it reached a lot of people, and people still talk about him. And even people who don't know it, I think that was kind of like part of the beginning of people falling in love with sea otters. And then all of a sudden everybody had a 24/7 sea otter cam, and you can watch them at Monterey Bay, and you can watch them anywhere. And so, yeah, I mean, sea otters are definitely having a moment, but I think that kind of started around like COVID, when people started seeing sea otters and just noticing how interesting they are.
Isn't that funny how, like, you mentioned that you were kind of like a late in life adopter of the sea otter lifestyle, but like through that, we're able to sort of usher in a new generation of like sea otter appreciators?
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really thought about it, but it's only been like relatively recently that I've really gained a huge appreciation for sea otters, because I think when you work with them, they are completely unhinged creatures. Like, it's... So like working with them, especially in the beginning, was not necessarily like the dream that I think that everybody thinks that it is, because they are just troublemakers.
Oh, that's so funny. Never meet your heroes.
No, I know. But like, honestly, they're a weasel, right? And so that's what weasels do. And this is just the world's like heaviest water weasel. And
the wettest weasel.
The wettest weasel. And they're just trouble. They're always looking to bamboozle you in some way.
Every day you're clocking in at the Making Me Angry factory.
Exactly. So it's only been relatively recently that I've started to be like, okay, that's who they are. It's part of their personality. It's endearing. But yeah, and sometimes when you're working with them, it's challenging.
I want to back up because you mentioned them being weasels. Could we expand on that a little bit for people who are a little unfamiliar with where otters are in the sort of animal family tree?
Yeah, so they fall into a category called Mustelidae, which is weasels. So that includes badgers, wolverines, ferrets like I have, or stoats, minks, that kind of thing. River otters also in that category. And sea otters, northern sea otters, are the heaviest member of the weasel family. So they're bigger than even badgers and wolverines. And so if you can imagine working with a heavier, wetter wolverine, that can sometimes be like what it's like.
The mustelid group seems like, of all the mammals, this is the one with like the biggest attitude problem.
Yeah, and they're just so curious and so tenacious, and that's like a crazy combo. Like, just curious about everything around them and with no ability to quit. So they will go until they get what they're after.
And will they at the very least learn from their mistakes? Like if they try something and it is just an absolute flop, will they at least be like, oh, well, now you know? Or will they could just kind of keep doing it over and over again?
Yeah, no, I think that maybe depends a little bit on the individual and probably a little bit on the age as well. Right now I work with 2 just geriatric sea otters, and what a pleasure. Like, what a gift. What an absolute gift. These 2 girls, all they do is eat and nap, and I love that.
A retirement home for otters.
Exactly.
Would love it.
But the younger ones, they don't learn, not very quickly, no. Actually, maybe they do, because what they know is that if they try hard enough for long enough, they will likely succeed. So...
They're like, it's in there somewhere. This clam has to open somehow. Yep.
I mean, and it works out for them. I mean, that's part of, like you said, like this clam, like that's what it is that it's a survival thing. It's, an animal that has to eat. They have to eat about a quarter of their body weight every single day just to maintain their metabolism. And so you need to find that much food, and that's what you're doing today. So you better find a way.
Can I also, before we talk too much more about sea otters, I did want to also loop back to, you mentioned that one of your early animals that you worked in your career with was beluga whales. What was that like, working with belugas?
I love beluga whales, and I worked with them for many years, and then I also had the opportunity to then go back, and I switched facilities and went somewhere else that had belugas, and I just love beluga whales, man. Like they're so fun. They're so, I've also worked with dolphins. Belugas are just so slow and chill in a lot of ways, and they have so much personality, and I just love them. I don't foresee that I will get to work with them again, but I will forever miss, they, like, the vast majority of them really love tongue pats. So little tongue pats and cold, wet hugs I will miss forever.
Also secretly ripped.
Well, I mean, maybe. I don't know.
I feel like whenever you see one, like, from the bottom, and you see their, like...
That's all fat. That's all fat. Like, people will say, like, oh, yeah, look at the abs, or, like, you can see that. That's not muscle. That's fat.
It's great that the fat is, like, aligned in a way that it, like, perfectly mimics, like, an absolutely shredded six-pack.
Yes, and we could all be so lucky, you know?
I love that for them.
Exactly.
If this is anyone's first time listening to this podcast, we rate animals out of 10 in different categories, and the first one is effectiveness. These are physical adaptations, things built into the animal's body that let them do a good job of the things that they are trying to do, whether that is obtaining their own food or not becoming food themselves. So, Kristyn, what would you give sea otters out of 10 for effectiveness?
Honestly, maybe like a 3.
Wow.
So sea otters are so weird.
This is the kind of like absolutely scathing take that you're only going to get from someone who has worked up close and personal with them.
Listen, I love them and they're cute, but I don't know why they are adapted the way that they are. When you think about like other marine mammals, right? Like basically every single other marine mammal has a massive layer of body fat, and that's what keeps them warm, and it's very efficient. Sea otters have almost no body fat at all.
Really?
Yeah, they're like 2% or less body fat.
Oh my gosh.
And
they look so round.
Yeah, it's all fur, so they have the densest fur coat in the animal kingdom, which is great, I suppose, except for they have to maintain it. So there was a study that showed they spend about a quarter of their life grooming their fur coat. So that's crazy inefficient.
That's the price of beauty.
I guess so. Yes.
My son has very, very long hair. And of course, being, you know, a preteen boy, having to regularly groom and like properly wash and brush it every morning and everything. I'm like, listen, that's the rule. You're allowed to have your hair as long as you want it, but you have to take care of it. Like if you can maintain it properly, you can grow your hair as long as you want. That's the price of beauty. You know, if you're going to have a long and luxurious coat, you gotta put the work in.
They have to, because otherwise they will just die because they are living in really cold water. And then, so because of that as well, they also have to eat, like I mentioned, a quarter of their body weight every single day. That's crazy.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of food.
Because like you mentioned, they're also the heaviest.
Yes. Yeah. The males are going to weigh like upwards of 100 pounds or so.
Jeez.
Depending on the subspecies.
And also I'm thinking about the fact that they're eating, you know, clams and oysters. There's not a ton of meat on that, right?
No,
like,
so they have to,
if you had to eat 25 pounds of oysters every day.
Yeah. And so it's just like horribly inefficient. Like they have a metabolism that's like 2 to 3 times that of a similar sized land mammal just to make enough heat in order to survive underneath their giant fur coat that they also have to groom constantly. I just don't, it's the craziest adaptation. They were like, well, for millions of years, animals have adapted to life in the ocean and they all, you know, went the blubber route, but we're going to go this way. Is just a wild choice. Not a choice really, but you know.
We had the pleasure of seeing wild sea otters in Monterey Bay. They're literally right there. Like if you've got binoculars, you can just be standing there on the a pier and look out with your binoculars and you're going to see wild sea otters in the kelp. And every time I see them, they're just kind of like floating around, you know, like basking in the sun, just chilling out. And I feel like now every time I see them do that, I'm going to be like, dude, you got to get to work. Dude, you are on the clock, buddy.
Yeah, and like even especially for like the females when they are nursing or when they're pregnant, like they have to eat even more food and they have to provide for, and it's just, it doesn't make any sense. I will never understand. So yeah, as far as like effectiveness, efficiency, sea otters are not it.
And also like doing that in the cold parts of the water too. Like I feel like they probably could have pretty easily transitioned into like some warmer waters, but to do this in like the northern Pacific where it's like very, very, the Pacific Ocean is already pretty cold, but like to do this in such cold places, that's crazy work.
Yeah, I think the colder waters, I think, are a little bit more productive, so they get that. But I don't, well, like, yeah, why don't you just go back on land? Like, it makes more sense.
They have kind of, like, gone too far for that at that point. And, like, now, like, that option is, gone.
Yeah, because in some ways, they're even more marine mammal-y. I don't know if that's a descriptor, but, like, than, like, seals, because seals have to come back on land to give birth, seals and sea lions. But sea otters give birth right out there in the ocean, in the waves. And so, yeah, they're gone. They're not coming back.
Yeah. They're like, you know what? We need to fully commit to the marine thing. We need to not even have the option. Because can they move around at all on land? I've never seen one on land.
They can, but they're so awkward because they have those hind flippers as opposed to like hind feet.
Yeah.
And so they look just like, if you've ever tried to walk on the beach with little fins on, that's kind of what sea otters look like.
Now, I have also had the pleasure of being able to touch one. It was at the Georgia Aquarium, and they do that like behind the scenes thing where they let you like go behind the scenes to see the sea otter area. And one of the things that they let you do is like they've got like a hole in the plexiglass, and you could like put your hand up against it and give like a command. And if the sea otter wanted to, that's what I liked about this encounter. This was very much like if the sea otter wanted to do it. Everything was kind of like you give the sea otter the option, and if they felt like doing it, they would do it. But you could like put your hand up to it, and they would give a command, and the sea otter would like rub its little nose against your hand. It was so cute. so cute. And that is the softest thing I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah, they have the densest fur coat in the animal kingdom. It's so dense. There's about 1 million hairs per square inch, which is like roughly the size of your thumb. So there's like more hair underneath your thumb if you're touching a sea otter than there is on like an entire golden retriever.
Jeez.
Yeah. And so like you can, and it is completely waterproof if they take proper care of it. So you can like part and you'll never be able to see like the skin of a sea otter.
Wow.
But that does make them incredibly soft.
Do they have to worry about like, because when I'm thinking of the combination of like super, super dense fur and water, do they ever have to worry about mold? Because I've heard of like chinchillas that like if chinchillas get too wet, then their fur is so dense that like it traps mold and like it can get like mold growth. Do sea otters ever have to worry about mold in their fur? I've never heard of that happening.
It's a good question. I've never heard of it either. I don't know if mold can grow in salt water, so that might be a part of it. But also, like, chinchillas haven't got anything on the sea otter grooming techniques. So, like I said, they spend about a quarter of their lives like grooming their fur coat. It's so important for them. So they get out any of those mats, and underneath the outer guard hairs, they are completely dry. So they can maintain that they'll like stick their noses in their fur and just exhale air. And so they're just experts at keeping a fur coat dry in the ocean. I don't know. I'm like, why did you do this? Like, this is such a wild, like, evolutionary way to go. It's so, obviously they don't have a choice in the matter, but I'm like, this was so silly. Like, I'd love to see the progression.
Like, there was an easier way the whole time.
There really was. Like, just be fatter. Like, it's so much easier.
Everyone else figured this out.
Literally.
Weirdly, like, ungulates figured this out. Like, the pinnipeds figured this out. Exactly. Manatees figured this out. Everybody else got there. What are you guys doing?
Bizarre.
But you know what? For me personally, I'm glad that they went the path that they did, because it did end up really, really cute.
Yeah, there's nothing cuter than a sea otter. I mean, and especially like if you've ever seen a baby one.
Oh my God.
Unless they are making noise. Which is like the most absolutely grating scream you've ever heard. But when baby sea otters are asleep, there's nothing cuter.
I do like that they're like, well, we have to balance it.
Yeah.
We need to find balance.
Yeah, there's some trade-offs with sea otters being cute. They are hellions and loud and mean, but...
Does the, I guess, amount of air and fluff to them, does that affect their, like, buoyancy? Does that affect their ability to dive in the water?
Well, it's part of how they stay afloat, because like you were saying, you see them out there just, like, floating, and so that's how dense their fur is, that when they exhale air, it gets trapped in there, and they use it as, like, a little life vest.
A DIY blowout.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you do see them swimming underwater, you'll usually just see air just streaming off of them as it gets pushed out.
Oh, do they have any sort of like control over that?
No, I mean, I think it's mostly just like if you dive underwater, you're gonna lose some of that air. And they're pretty buoyant without the air too, so they don't really dive super deep, so they're not reliant on that too much as like a ballast or anything like that.
That's true, because I guess they're just kind of like popping down for a quick bite and then popping right back up.
They'll stay down as long as they can, but the typical dive is like 5 minutes. It's not very long.
Oh, okay.
And then they just jam as many shellfish and whatever into their little pockets in their armpits, their little armpit folds as they can, and then they swim back up to the surface, and then they eat it all, and then rinse and repeat.
Oh, I love your otter. Oh, thanks, it has pockets.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the pocket like an actual like pouch, or do they just stuff things in their armpits?
Yeah, so it's just extra skin. And sea otters are also, this is going to be, hopefully everybody wants to talk about sea otters because I have so many sea otter facts.
Welcome aboard. You're in the right place.
So sea otter's skin is in an adaptation to accommodate how much they have to groom their fur. It's really only attached in a few places on their bodies.
Oh.
So yeah, it's attached like, at the wrists and the ankles and like the back of the neck and stuff like that. But so they can basically grab the fur all the way from the back, yank it to the front and groom it. Yeah, it's very, very bizarre. And you can see their skin just like moving around. So they have a lot of just extra skin in their armpit region. And so it's not a true pocket or anything like that. It's just flabby armpits and they use it as a grocery bag.
Oh, so their skin is like, I don't know, like a baggy sweatshirt or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like a little jacket that they're wearing that they can just flip around. And then the original reusable bag is like in their armpits.
They've got a little tote in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey there, we're going to take a quick break to hear from our friends on the Maximum Fun Network. When we get back, we're talking ingenuity and aesthetics for sea otters, so stay with us.
Say, what's the trivia show where dreams come true?
It's gotta be Go Fact Yourself.
Legend in the house.
We quiz celebrity contestants about topics they love.
Then bring out surprise experts.
To delight and amaze.
And then finally tell us why you know and love the lyrics to the song Knockin' Boots by Candyman.
Joining us tonight is a rapper and producer. It's Candyman!
This is among the greatest moments of my life.
This is one of mine, too. I love it.
That's Go Fact Yourself.
Twice a month, every month.
Here on Maximum Fun.
International Waters is back, baby! Do you like fun, silly conversations? Do you like fun, silly games? We got them both! And it's on International Waters. I am the host, Dave Holmes. This is a panel show that pits American and British comics against each other in a lively and hilarious competition. What is Gentleman's Relish? Who is Bagpuss? Why is the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile so emotionally resonant? And why doesn't American cheese have its own anthem? Get the answers and be left with numerous questions about that and so much more nonsense and or codswallop twice a month here on International Waters. You can catch International Waters on MaximumFun.org or wherever you get your podcasts.
The next category that we rate animals on is ingenuity, which are behaviors, things that this animal is doing to navigate their world or solve problems that they face. So, Kristyn, what would you give sea otters out of 10 for ingenuity?
Honestly, I was gonna just give them a 9 just to leave room, but I honestly think I can't think of what else they could do, so I'm gonna give them a 10.
Wow. A huge redemption arc from earlier in the episode.
Yes.
Big turnaround.
Yeah. Weasels in general, like we talked about, they're just tenacious to a fault and curious, and that, I think those things lead to a lot of ingenuity on their part, and sea otters are one of the very few animals in the world, and certainly marine mammals that use tools. So they are known for using several different kinds of tools. A rock to help break open clamshells and stuff like that. But also they will wrap themselves in kelp or wrap their pup in kelp so that it stays in one place so they know where to find it when they get back. It's like a little seaweed seatbelt.
They're so close to like weaving. They're so close to figuring out like fiber crafting.
Right. And it's funny because they've done studies too that have shown that it's mostly the females that use tools. I don't want to, you can read into that.
Draw your own conclusions.
What you will. But the females are the big tool users, and they pass that on to their young. And, that's like generational learning. Like that's kind of almost the basis of culture. I mean, so sea otters are out there getting it done as far as ingenuity goes.
I wonder, have you ever seen or noticed a difference between the things that like you mentioned generationally, that like a wild sea otter would be passing down through like the generations of pups versus like when sea otters are kept in captivity? Like, do they show the same sort of tool use and the same sort of like, if these are things that they're not necessarily learning from their like wild mothers or anything, like do you see a big difference between the way they behave in captivity?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I've been a part of rescues of sea otters. Mostly it's usually pups. Pups are, for whatever reason, something happens to the mom abandons them, whatever. So raising sea otter pups has been like a big part of my career, but I've also rescued adult sea otters, and we would sometimes give live crab to the sea otters. It's really great enrichment, not so much for the crabs, but for the sea otters.
A sea otter's heaven is crab hell.
Yeah, pretty much. And we had this one sea otter who was, unfortunately, he had been shot, and yeah, he had some pretty serious injuries, and he was non-releasable because he was blinded by this. But we gave him live crab. He's a blind sea otter, a live crab in the exhibit. He found it within 3 seconds, and it took another 3 seconds to just completely shred this thing into 1,000 pieces, just dismantle it so quickly. And they snap off the claws really quick, and then he was just like a little tornado when he found this thing. And we gave it to the other otters who we had raised as pups, who'd never had the opportunity to, mom never showed them how to eat a crab or anything like that. These crabs lived with them for
you gave them a pet.
Extended periods of time. Yeah. And they would mess with the crabs, but it took them hours to possibly even like a day or two to fully eat this crab.
Oh my gosh.
So, and they were getting
he's homeschooled. He didn't learn.
And they were getting pinched, and they were screaming and everything.
No.
And so no, don't worry about them. They're fine. But
you know what? If you put an actual, literally cooked and fully prepared crab in front of me, I would be those captive otters. I would have I wouldn't even know where to begin. I'd be like, I'd be like biting directly into the carapace. I'd be like, is this how you do that? I don't know.
Yeah. So there's definitely a big difference in how that works, and you can see that. And we don't typically in zoos and aquariums, we don't breed sea otters just because there are so many that need homes. Up until recently, it hasn't really been considered like super ethical thing to do because you want to have space for the rescued animals. But now there's coming into being enough facilities that house sea otters that it might be something that they consider doing in the future. But yeah, so I've never really gotten to see like the moms teaching the pups anything in captivity, but yeah, you can tell the difference from the rescues.
Well, the ones in captivity have like, I feel like it's a little factoid that a lot of people hear about sea otters is that they'll have like a favorite rock. Right? Like having a little favorite rock. Do the ones that you have worked with develop any strong, like, emotional support rocks?
Yeah. So, unfortunately, that is a little bit of a myth.
Ooh.
Sea otters will definitely, like, find a good rock every day, but it's not the same rock. Like, it's just like, they're not going to hold onto a rock for any significant period of time.
It's a professional relationship with a rock.
Yeah.
You served me well in this instance, and now I release you back into the world.
For sure. They do have an instinct to like hold on to things when they're sleeping. So kind of like I mentioned with the kelp and stuff like that. So any like toys and things like that, they will like hold, even if the toy's not really serving the purpose that, you know, their instinct is to hold on to things so that they don't drift away from whatever things that are anchored typically. But so they don't know why their instincts are the way that they are. So they'll just grab like a toy that is just like in and of itself and then float around the exhibit holding it, or
they'll be like, I'll follow up with this later after my nap.
You're right.
Now, is the holding hands thing a myth also, or is that true?
So sea otters will link up and hold hands, but it's typically just mothers and pups that do that, or like big groups of moms and pups. Adult sea otters don't typically do this, and especially it's not going to be like male and female sea otters typically are not going to do this.
Are they even like coupled up usually, or is it sort of a like you mate to reproduce and then like that's it?
Yeah, unfortunately, the breeding habits of sea otters are what everyone says that they are, and that it's horrible.
Not great.
No, it's horrible. Yeah, so the males will typically like control like a territory, and any of the females in that area are like his, and that's going to fluctuate too. Like the females can leave and stuff like that. But yeah, they don't have any lasting relationships with each other.
Not a great dad example, perhaps, in a sea otter.
No, they're not dad-like at all. In fact, like males have been known to steal the pups of females. Not even like, doesn't have to be their own, but it could be, until the mom gives up all the food that she just searched for.
Child hostages?
Yes. I know. You said the podcast had to be PG. You didn't know that it was going to be impossible.
Listen, in this story, the child is safely returned to the mother, but she did have to give up all of her food.
Yes, exactly.
That's crazy, even though that's like his territory. Oh,
Yeah,
he's a warlord.
I know. The male otters are yeah. Problematic, for sure.
Toxic masculinity is strong in the sea otter community.
Absolutely. They're all just like listening to each other's podcasts and doing crimes.
Gross. They're so gross. And then you've got like the civilized female otters who are like developing technology and holding hands and stuff.
Exactly.
It almost seems like two separate species of animals.
Would that it could be, because that would increase my love for sea otters. If there was an all female, society, I would be all in.
They're unfortunately pulling down the average.
They really are.
Now, you mentioned earlier that working with sea otters can be challenging because they are unfortunately perhaps too clever at times. Have there been times when you have worked with sea otters where you develop a sort of Tom and Jerry style, almost like an antagonistic relationship, because like you're trying to take care of them, but they might be doing something that is like thwarting your efforts to do so?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's been times where you come in the morning and go out to feed them their first feed, and they hand you like bits of the exhibit, like or like entire
I destroyed this for you.
Exactly. They'd be like, this is the cover from The Drain, and they just like handed it to you. I mean, all of taking care of sea otters is literally about like otter proofing things.
It's harm reduction.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have like certain things in the exhibit, like they'll break the glass. The screws that you put in have to be done in a certain way, like usually like egressed inward so that they can't get their tiny little paws in there and unscrew things. And
because there could be clams in there.
Yeah,
there could be a tasty clam in there.
You don't know. And like, anytime you're giving enrichment, you really have to think of like, can an otter dismantle this? We had one particular otter who she was a genius. I'm sure she's still around, but she would use the younger otters and like quite literally stack them, like shove them up against the glass and force them to stay there so that she could climb up and get over the glass.
Climbing over them?
Yeah.
This is an insane idea you would have in like a D&D campaign when you're like, what if we sit on each other's shoulders?
Yes. So you have to watch out for like, if I give this item to the sea otter, can she use it for evil and, put it up against something and escape? So
is this crimeable?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Did you ever have an otter that you were working with that like you really fell in love with, that you like was like, oh, this is my baby?
Currently, yes. Like I said, we have
the old ladies,
the two old ladies, and they are just a pleasure to be around.
A delight to have in class.
Yeah, they've lost all of the bad things about otters. They don't do anymore. So giving enrichment, I don't care. They're not going to do any crimes with them. Their crime days are over. And we have one otter in particular who I just love. She's just so crunchy. She basically does nothing and just sits around and gets snacks, and we all just like dote on her, and she literally doesn't have to do anything in the world, and she's super special. I love her.
Give her like all of the treats and food.
Oh, I do.
So that she like sets a good example. Be like, look how many treats she's getting.
Yeah.
Check it out. Look how being chill and cool and normal gets you.
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem. Like, she's not interested in learning new things. She's
at her, you know what? I think you reach a point in your life where you're like, I've learned everything I'm going to learn.
Yeah, both of those girls, they're not interested in like, a lot of times we'll make complex enrichment for sea otters, trying to have to dismantle this to get at the food that's inside. They won't bother with any of that. If you put food into something, they're not going to get it out. So we just give them whatever they want and make it easy. And
I wonder if that's why they're not doing it. Because they're like,
oh, probably.
Oh, no, they don't have to do this.
Oh, they've absolutely rigged the system. They are definitely, we are absolutely at their mercy. we have completely allowed ourselves to be trained by these two girls, but I just love them. They're just so chill, and they just nap together in different areas, like just all day long. That's all they do, is they just like, okay, you want to go over here and take a nap? That sounds lovely. And then they do that, and then they're like, oh, let's go over here and have another nap. And it's just, yeah.
And they were roommates.
Exactly.
Do you see any of the sort of otter-like behaviors in your own weasels in your house? Is some of the mustelid traits consistent?
Oh, yeah. Like we were talking about, I mean, weasels are just, they're curious about everything. They're tenacious to a fault. They don't take no for an answer. My ferrets absolutely run this household for sure. And I do the same thing that I do with the girls at work, which is this, that we just let them do whatever they want, and they can have whatever they want. And, you know,
what's gonna hurt?
I find that like trainers, like people who train animals for a living, are like often like the worst pet owners, because it's just like, I get home and I don't want to train anymore. Like, training's done. Now I'm at home like, no, it's lawless over here. So
it's princess time.
Yeah.
It's time for my princesses. It reminds me a little bit when you were mentioning that like they seem to have the trainers trained. It reminds me of this story I heard a long time ago about like dolphins, who maybe you've heard this story before, where the trainers had trained dolphins to clean up the enclosure that they were in by bringing them bits of trash, right? Like if you bring them a bits of trash, they would give you a fish. So they would have the dolphins like go find the trash in the tank, because like trash would just fall in by accident.
So it was, I literally just did a reel on that. It was the Institute for Marine Mammal Studies, and it was a dolphin named Kelly specifically. Oh. So yeah, she learned that it didn't matter the size of the piece of trash. So she would take trash, stuff it under a rock, and just tear off tiny little bits of it and get the fish. And then she also learned, because one time she caught a bird, and the trainers gave her a huge handful of fish for bringing them the bird.
A bounty.
Yes.
There's a bounty now.
Yes. And so she learned that, so she would tear off a piece of trash, give it to them. They would give her one fish. She would take that fish, also stuff it underneath the rock so that the birds would dive down and try to get the fish. And then she would grab the bird and bring it back for even more fish. And then she taught her calf how to do this. And then all the calves were doing it. And it's actually, it's really cool, because it is because of her teaching her calf, and then like all the other animals learning like that is culture. Like they had developed a culture.
That is also the most like grind set hustle core. Like if you have one piece of trash, you can grow that one piece of trash into one fish. And if you have one fish, you can grow that fish into a bird. Yeah,
she was like, she did like an MLM, you know. First dolphin MLM. But she's really cool too, because Hurricane Katrina destroyed the walls of that facility, and so the dolphins went out into the Gulf. And and then
she's like, you guys are gonna love this.
And then they all came back, because they were like, this is scary out here, let us back in.
There's no people out here I can turn in my trash to.
Yeah, exactly. I caught a bird, nobody gave me any fish. I'm out.
Nobody
on this.
cares about the birds I keep catching.
Yeah, take me back to the free healthcare and meals, please.
Oh, poor thing, because like I feel like that's an interesting example of like animals developing a technique, like a strategy that only works in their situation and like cannot be applied anywhere else. Like they could not apply this in the wild, because who's going to give them a fish for this?
No, and they have no idea how to catch their own fish. So it was like, no thanks. This is not for me. This life out here in the ocean is not okay.
I wonder if like, well, you mentioned that like there's a lot of things that the otters had to learn in the wild that they weren't learning in captivity. I wonder like what kind of things the otters in captivity are developing on their own, like their own culture and their own practices that are like emerging. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question. I mean, this isn't really like something they're learning, but one thing that I notice is that the otters that we raise in human care versus the adults that we rescue. The ones that don't know what the ocean is like or anything like that, they tend to play more.
Oh, interesting.
I think just because they've always had time and they can just be, it's kind of like when you have a dog in your house, it essentially is a puppy forever because it never has to grow up to do adult dog things because you're just going to feed it. So I find like the ones who've been out in the ocean, they don't tend to really do a lot of playing because they didn't have time for that. And so they grew up, and the ones that you raise, they don't have to grow up.
And also out in the wild, there's going to be a lot of threats around, right? Like it probably doesn't, it's a lot riskier to play because that's probably going to put you at risk of being attacked by a predator.
Yeah, I mean, the young ones, in the wild will still play. I mean, that's a huge part of like how you learn and stuff like that. But yeah, to see adults playing is not super common out in the wild because, they've got other things they need to be doing. There's no time for play. And and like you said, that you don't want to be attracting attention to yourself.
Yeah. We saw them in the Monterey Bay, and I know that area is a little bit, it's not like the open ocean, but it's right next to it, basically. But then again, I feel like a lot of orcas probably come in there, so they probably aren't 100% safe in that bay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty sheltered little area, though, for them. Like, it's definitely like a sanctuary of sorts. But yeah, I mean, shark attacks, orcas, for sure. If they come on land, just about anything can take them out because they've got those silly flipper feet that don't allow them to escape. And
you're not in your element, baby.
Yeah, so that's why they don't usually come on land very often. But I think they're a little protected in Monterey Bay.
Now, we've mentioned how cute they are, and we've mentioned how soft they are, and we've mentioned the babies. So I think all this contributes to the final category that we rate animals on, which is aesthetics. How nice this animal is to look at. You've also mentioned how they sound. I think that counts towards this as well, how they feel. So, Kristyn, what do you give sea otters out of 10 for aesthetics?
Well, before you said sound counts, I was gonna give them a 10 again, just because there isn't anything cuter than a sea otter. Like that's
baby.
Like, it just is. Like you can have opinions about all kinds of things, but this is not one of them. But if we are including the horrible screeching sounds of a baby sea otter, then I guess I'll bump it down to a 9.
Wow, that is huge to be able to, it must be really bad to be able to drag it down for the sea otter.
It's horrible. You have to wear ear protection.
Really?
Yes, it's terrible.
Oh, geez. Now, do the adults don't still make that same sound, right?
Not usually, unless they are under extreme duress, in which case they will. So, like, if they're fighting with each other or whatever, or something has happened, they might let out a little scream, but typically they're pretty silent.
Now, if anyone needs any, like, encouragement that they are for sure the cutest otter, because there's a lot of otters out there, and a lot of them are pretty cute. I've seen river otters. They're super cute. Small clawed otters, super cute. The giant river otter
is the most horrifying demon.
It is otherworldly. It is monstrous. I don't see how they're even in the same group.
No, and it looks like a weird hairless monkey that swims and is vicious and predatory somehow. They have hands. They
don't like that. I don't like that. It looks like people hands. It's so unsettling.
Yes, and Google like them eating or anything, or actually just any image of them, because they look like they have, they just take particular pleasure in murder. Like they're crazy. I don't love the giant Amazon river otter.
They look like a weird bulldog.
And even the babies, like, because babies of anything are supposed to be relatively cute. Even with birds, they're like kind of ugly cute. But if you look at the babies, it's also no.
Yeah, I don't know how you screw up being a baby otter. I don't know how you fumble that.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's the creature. I know that they are really cool. I've been to facilities that have them, and I hear wonderful things about working with them, but aesthetically, no, it's a no for
Maybe
me.
It's an acquired taste. Maybe if you work with them enough, they can kind of grow on you a little bit.
Perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, the sea otter is not making strong demands, though. The sea otter is an easy sell.
Yeah, there's nothing. You don't have to work at that one.
And I learned this not too long ago. If your favorite color is purple, great news on the otter front. They can sometimes have purple bones, which I think is really delightful.
It's true, and you should also Google image search that because it's way more purple than you think that it is. Like, say that out loud, like the otters have purple bones, and you're like, yeah, it's light purple, the purple.
No,
like,
it is straight like a deep, like violet purple.
They are like the literal definition of you are what you eat, and they like have eaten so many purple sea urchins that they, because and sea otters too, like because of how much they eat. They are a keystone species. They are absolutely vital to the environment that they live in. They are basically the shepherds of the kelp forest because of the amount of sea urchins and things like that.
And the sea urchins are the sheep.
Yeah, but except for that the sea otters eat the sheep. But yeah. Kelp forests sequester more carbon than similar sized like redwood groves. So I've often said like sea otters could be the solution to saving the planet because the more sea otters that we have, the more kelp forests that we have, the more carbon that's stored in those, and literally they could be the solution to global warming.
What I had heard about was that like when sea otters were overhunted for like their fur and stuff, that you started to see these huge die-offs of kelp forests because like overhunting the sea otters meant there was an overabundance of sea urchins because they were like kind of the biggest predator of sea urchins. So like you had not enough sea otters, too many sea urchins, which meant all the sea urchins were eating the kelp and the kelp forest was dying. So like it was this interesting umbrella effect of like it's not just that like, oh yes, they're very cute and nice to look at, but like that is not the only benefit that they provide. No, and there's lots of push to reintroduce sea otters off of the coast of Oregon because the sea otters that we have are basically reintroduced anyway. So like off the coast of British Columbia, that's a reintroduced population that was taken from Alaska. And there's also the sea otters in Southern California, were also part of that reintroduction process. And Monterey Bay is now repopulated that whole area. But the separation is why we have southern sea otters versus northern sea otters, because they basically have started to speciate a little bit because there's so much separation between the two. Interesting. With just not a lot of sea otters in between?
Yeah, I mean, there's no sea otters in Oregon. I mean, you might see like one every couple of years or something like that, just sort of passing through. And they have tried to reintroduce them before, and they just sort of disappear. So it's a tricky process. It's also, there's an organization that if you're interested in supporting sea otters, I highly recommend you check out Elaka Alliance. They are sort of pioneering this effort to reintroduce sea otters off the coast of Oregon, but they're doing it in a way that also includes input from the indigenous peoples, which is really, really important because that has been historically not the case. So when sea otters have been reintroduced, like say in British Columbia and stuff like that, the indigenous peoples weren't even consulted in any way. And sea otters do eat a lot of shellfish. So this caused a lot of problems for people. And so it's Elaka Alliance is doing it, and they're doing it the right way. But yeah, I mean, I think done well, I feel like I'm being dramatic every time I say it, but I'm like, no, it could save the planet.
There you go. And saving the planet in a really cute way.
Exactly. Could there be a cuter solution to global climate change? No.
It is very helpful when you can put a very endearing and aesthetically pleasing face on like a conservation issue.
Yeah.
That helps a lot, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Do we happen to have sea otters in Washington ever? I've certainly never seen them.
Yeah, we do. We don't have them in the Puget Sound, but when you go to like the actual ocean, there are some out there. So yeah, those are northern sea otters as well, and they were a reintroduced population as well.
I'm gonna have to keep an eye out next time I go out there and try to see some. I see seals all the time. I see seals, so like I'm from the East Coast originally, and I feel like now I've seen seals so many times that it's kind of like lost it's finally worn off on me now that when I see one, I'm like, yeah, there's seals.
I know. Poor seals. The seals are the most abundant marine mammal in the world, I think. So yeah, we've gone seal blind, and we don't care to see them anymore. But
yeah, they feel like the chickens of marine mammals. You're like,
yes. Yeah. I've seen them. Yeah.
But the first time I saw them, like visiting the West Coast for the first time and seeing seals for the first time, oh, I was taking a million pictures. I was having the time of my life. I was like, they're so cute.
No, I still love seeing them. I mean, here I live close to Dune Peninsula, and you walk out there and they have like a little like a rookery sort of area where they all hang out, and it's still really cute to see.
It is really cute. Yeah, they're pretty adorable, but not as adorable as sea otters. Sorry. Hate to say it, seals. You're very cute, though.
Yeah.
Well, Kristyn, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for telling me about sea otters. For people listening who want to know where they can go to hear more from you, where should people go next?
Yeah, I'm K Passionate on all of my platforms. So TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I have a couple of channels. Facebook now, I'm over there. So yeah, K Passionate.
Awesome. And I will have links to everything in the episode description so anybody listening can just click through and go follow you on social media. Your videos are always really great, really informative, very fun to watch. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. This has been a lot of fun.
Of course. Anytime I can talk about sea otters at length, I'm happy to do so.
And not just sea otters, I should say. Your stuff is not normally like all about sea otters.
It's
lots
not,
of stuff.
But, yeah, but the occasional sea otter will wind its way on there. But, yeah.
Thank you so much, Kristyn. It was an absolute delight. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank you all so much for listening. I know you probably already came into this episode with a fondness for sea otters to some degree, but I hope that you enjoyed getting a glimpse behind the scenes into the life of sea otters and the people who care for them. If you liked what you heard, I would love it if you left behind some kind words for us in a review on your podcast app of choice. If you want to come hang out with us online, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, Blue Sky. Links to everything will be in the episode description. You can also send me an email at ellen@justthezooofus.com if you have a cool animal you'd like to hear us talk about on the show. We would like to thank Maximum Fun for having us on their network alongside the other amazing shows like the ones that you heard promos for earlier during this episode. If you want to go check those out, learn more about the network and how you can be a part of supporting our show, plus get access to our exclusive monthly bonus episodes, head over to MaximumFun.org. And finally, we would like to thank Louis Zong for our theme music. That's all for today. We'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.
Maximum Fun, a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported
directly
by you.